Hey guys, week 5, Hermeneutics. Here we go. You've got your reading, and which is really just Klein, chapter 9, as well as these audio lectures that you can watch or read. They're very short as usual. You're going to be applying the interpretive method this week, utilized in the evaluation of poetry and prophecy. And then you're going to analyze the use of a Hebrew word in context. So the ISA interpretive skills assignment number 4 is the poetic analysis. You'll see that it's a study on Psalm 8, and then you are going to identify several types of figurative language and inter-psalmic connections. A poetic analysis worksheet is provided you in the Lesson 5 resource folder, so you'd click that, Lesson 5 resource folder, and the poetic analysis worksheet, and I've got that down here. So literally just open this worksheet and then fill in the answers underneath each one. So for instance, identify the type of parallelism that is used in the odd number verses. So you'll see Psalm 8 has a number of verses, right? I want you to tell me there's only so many odd number verses in Psalm 8. Like verse number 1, verse 3, 5, etc. Keep going down through. So identify the type of parallelism that is in those verses. Okay? If it's the same type of parallelism in each one, you only have to say one. But if it differs to different ones, give the different ones. And then it's always a good idea to say why, in case you're wrong, and I at least see a rationale that I can give you at least partial credit for, just a hint. Then identify the form of the psalm according to the terminology in the course notes. So just refer back to those course notes that you have, and then say what form of the psalm according to the terminology in those notes. So that's also a brief question. And then identify 3 instances of figurative language in Psalm 8 and tell what type of figurative language it is. So an example, anthropomorphism is a type of figurative language. I want 3 different kinds of figurative language. So don't just show me 3 different types of anthropomorphism. There's tons of figurative language in pretty much every psalm, but in this psalm in particular. So show me 3 different kinds of figurative language in this psalm and tell what type that it is. And then also a good idea to say why, in case you're wrong. I'll give you partial credit for that too. Then read the psalm before and after Psalm 8, Psalm 7 and 9. And then note any connections you see between those psalms and Psalm 8. And then finally, write a concise statement, no more than a paragraph, detailing the message of the psalm. So ultimately, Psalm 8's not very long. So you're not rewriting Psalm 8 or summarizing necessarily every single verse, even though it's a short psalm and your summary is not going to be all that much shorter. But the point is that you are able to concisely take, whether it's a long chapter or section of scripture or relatively short, and be able to clearly and concisely, no more than a paragraph, detail what the message of that psalm is. And I would say that the message of the psalm should reflect something of the form of the psalm. If it doesn't mean that that's the message, it just means that the form of the psalm should tie in to the message. So if it's a psalm of praise, but you have nothing that relates. You don't have to say praise in the message of the psalm, but if you have nothing that kind of ties into the concept of praise in the message of the psalm, you might be needing to kind of adjust how you are communicating the message of the psalm, because the form of the psalm is meant for a specific form. So note, the figurative language type known as metaphor is a type of comparison for this ISA. Identifying instances as a metaphor must be done more narrowly according to the given definition. So please keep that in mind. Remember, if you need to go back to previous week's resource folders to get some of those lists so that you know, in this case, figurative language and Hebrew poetry, that's going to be very helpful this week. So, you open that up and, you've got these sorts of things. This is the figurative language that that you'll be able to find and apply that to the study. But then you also have, I don't know if it's this week or other weeks. See if it's there. The assignment guide is still always helpful, but before I go to the next ISA, yeah, just go back into previous weeks' resource folders, and you'll see important attachments that we've put in there for you that you can use for your assignments. So this is taking too long to open to talk over it while it's opening. I thought it was going to open quicker. It never opens quick when you're recording live, does it? No. The narrative analysis worksheet, no, that's not going to be helpful. So just go back through. I just showed you how to go back into your old resource folders for each week, and you'll note that those things will be helpful for you. So I'm back in week 5 here, and going into the lesson 5 resource folder. That should be much quicker. And then we're going to open now the Hebrew word study worksheet. But my point is for real quickly again back to that poetic analysis. We have those worksheets and attachments to talk about types of parallelism and forms and that sort of thing, and figurative language. So go back to those documents, and you shouldn't just be Googling what is figurative language. Use the documents that we gave you on that stuff in previous weeks to do this assignment as well. Please, thank you. So that'll really help you guys out and makes it quite simple, honestly, to do these assignments. Now, for the Hebrew word study worksheet, where are you? Here. No. Did I not open it? Okay, maybe I didn't open it. Word study worksheet. This should be it. Okay. It's taking its sweet time today. Word study worksheet, where are you? Here we go. Sorry, guys. Okay, enable editing. The Hebrew word study worksheet. This is ISA number 7, correct? This looks a little different than the ISA number 4, but the point is that you're simply following the steps. Turn in this sheet, and you're literally going to fill stuff in here. It's pretty self-explanatory. So read through this. I'm not going to take all the time to go through this word by word, but the idea is that the first few steps are designed to force you into the text and to make observations that will help you understand the word you are studying in its context. And step 4 then gives you the opportunity to use tools that will give you the insights of other scholars who have studied the word in question. That should be studied, right? That was not the right. There we go. So the first step, comparison of translations, right? Look for translation differences that may provide clues to the meaning of the word in question. Look for translation differences. You should also note significant differences between the translations apart from the differences in the translation of the word in question. So you're going to look at the NIV, NASB, ESV, and NET versions, and you're going to make any comments. Again, you're going to look at the same verses, but you're going to do that for each translation. So looking for differences that give clues to the meaning of the word. Look for differences that may influence the meaning of the word in question. And then you should also note significant differences if, like, the NIV and the ESV say something completely different. Why? And what is that exactly? And then after kind of looking at all 4 of those, make some conclusions about your observations of the comparison of translations. Okay, that can be several sentences or a paragraph actually on the conclusions. Make sure that that you take that in. Why is it popping up? I don't know. So step 2 then, list the verses with comment. Look at each of the occurrences of the word you are studying and answer the following questions. Look up the word jealous in Strong's Concordance. Notice that each of the uses of the English word jealous correspond to a Hebrew word, which is indicated by a number associated with each specific instance. What Strong's number is associated with jealous as it is used in Exodus 25? So there is a Strong's number associated with it, and you are going to want to look that up. And then list all 6 uses of this specific Hebrew word in the Old Testament and answer the following questions for each usage. So you should have several. If there's more than one usage, you're going to answer these questions for each usage. So you can literally take these questions, and then you can, type out the usage, answer these 6 questions, and then, do it all over again. Usage, and then you cut and paste these and then put them down there and answer the next one. Does that make sense? So it actually says list all 6 uses. So it's 6 uses of this specific Hebrew word in the Old Testament, and then answer it for each usage. So you'll have all 6 uses of this specific Hebrew word, and then you're going to answer the question for each usage. How is the word used in the verse, this particular verse in question? Is the word used in connection with any other words? Are there synonyms or antonyms used in the near context? Meaning, like, oftentimes if it says, this example, if it says something like your faith and belief in Jesus, meaning because it has a similar word, it's helping to build what the author is trying to communicate. That helps with the interpretive process, obviously, of the word in question when you have another word to help expand on what the author is saying. If the word is a verb, go, leave. I don't know why I'm giving you verbs as if you don't know what a verb is. The answer to the question whether it is used in the same tense throughout, meaning, like, is it always used in the present tense or past tense? Is it always go, 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 or have gone, blah, 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 like that. So that's important to note. So then in step 3, the categorization of uses. In dictionaries or lexicons, words are generally given multiple definitions or glosses. Or glosses means just a way of translating it. For instance, look at the portion of the entry in the Merriam-Webster dictionary for the word run below, and it gives you an example of how the word run is described in the Webster dictionary. When performing a word study, you will want to develop a similar sort of list by categorizing the ways in which your word is used in a particular context. Look at your word in each context and try to develop categories that describe its use. Place the categories in the chart below with a brief description and the verses that are associated with it. So you're going to want to fill in the different categories, just describing how the word is used, right? There and there. And then a category description, what that means, and then what verses you're referring to. So you're basically kind of making a list here with a category, a description, and the verses they're used in. There may be more or less than 2 categories. We had 2 here, but you can obviously add more. It's not that hard to do. Okay. And then step 4, in this section, you should provide a brief paragraph summarizing your findings and discussion which category of use. So out of these categories that you established for the word, which category best fits the context of the passage we're studying. So which one are you going to use as saying, this is the one that makes the most sense to use for this context in this verse that we're studying. You may wish to utilize secondary sources to confirm your observations and tell us what that is. If you do use these resources, please list them with a bibliography. So if you find other scholars in a commentary or something else that make that argument, list out what that is and support your answer. So pretty straightforward. It's a really cool assignment. I think that'll really kind of show you how to do a word study that'll be really beneficial and instantly give you insight to a text that you can see your work paying off really quickly. So that's it for this week. Love you guys. Have a great week, Talk to you soon.